Here's another thing I don't believe in. I'm going to say this. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't say this. If I were still covering the NBA, I wouldn't say this because, a brother's got to have sources. Okay? Brother's got to, you got to play the game a little bit as a beat writer or as an NBA columnist. You can't just torch everybody. You can't go scorched earth. You got to have sources. But I'll say it now. I do not believe in NBA officiating. I think it is at its absolute worst, the worst I've ever seen. And is that hyperbole, or can I show my work? Can I show my work? Did I just see, Vinny? Here are two things. Did I just see a last 2 minute report? That it's their information. I didn't make this up. This is from the NBA. A last 2 minute report. They said there were 10 missed calls in the last 2 minutes. 10 missed calls. I mean, okay, we all make mistakes. A couple of them. 10. So 10 missed calls. That's one. And then two, last night, Chauncey Billups and the Blazers, who are terrible. The Blazers are terrible, but they're protesting a game. They felt like they were playing a good opponent. For once in the fourth quarter, with less than a minute to play, they're winning. Chauncey Billups tries to call a timeout. They don't grant him a timeout. Why didn't they grant him a timeout? The officials say in a pool report, it was really hard to hear. Yeah, for the dude getting a beer. Yeah, for the dude who's like talking trash. Yeah, for somebody who's like doing a selfie at the critical moment of the game. You an official. You getting paid. You can't hear him. You can't. Benny, come on, man. Come on. Hey, I know you've seen a lot of basketball. Has officiating ever been so questionable? Has it ever been so fraught? Has it ever been so fragile? I'm being diplomatic.
I think that's the word. I think that's the word.
As it is
fragile.
right now.
I think the word fragile applies because there has been an influx of younger, newer officials. That's why you see quicker technical fouls, the taunting technical fouls, maybe not understanding flow of the game and sort of how to let stuff go. And then, things get out of control and you're like, wait a minute, why didn't the refs do it? Because, there are very few mechanisms that inexperienced officials have at their disposal, which is probably from the league because you want to have it less ambiguous and more streamlined, especially when you consider the effect on gambling on games. You don't want to leave it in a gray area. But when you have the 2 minute reports, which I do like because it speaks to a level of accountability, it does lead to more questioning. It does lead to more, oh man, the replay that I saw last night, it shows these guys are incompetent. The one that I believe was most egregious was the Chauncey Billups calling a timeout. It is your job. It is your job when a coach runs up the sideline to call a timeout. I don't care if he left the coaching box, so to speak, and all that stuff. I don't care that a player is tied up. That's one of the things that you should have context for. Oh, they might want to call a timeout here. They're tied up. The player may want to call a timeout. The coach may want to call a timeout. Someone may want to call a timeout. You're not looking for collision, high-impact collision. So when Bill Kennedy, the lead ref who talked to the pool reporter, said, we're listening for, 1 to 3 things. We're looking for who's got the ball in contact and traveling. You should also be paying attention for someone calling a timeout. When you're not listening for a timeout when a player is going to the basket trying to dunk on someone, you're looking for contact, right? When, there's certain points of the game where I'm anticipating contact. I'm anticipating verticality. This is what I need to be looking for in case it happens or doesn't happen. When a player is tied up or close to getting tied up at a critical juncture of the game and it's near the baseline, you should be aware that either a player or a coach may call a timeout. You don't predetermine it. You don't blow your whistle before you hear anything, but you have to have your ears aware that something could happen. And Chauncey Billups is as cool as they come. You rarely see Chauncey Billups get worked up. So when I see him get worked up like he did last night, he firmly believes that he's done what was necessary in that moment. And this is what happens when you're bad, when you're a bad team. When you're a bad team, you feel like everything has to go right for you to win a game, and that people
That's
will
right.
be predisposed to believe that you are bad for the sake of being bad. So you're going to fight extra hard to ensure that you are giving yourself a fair shake, that the officials are giving you a fair shake, and that the team knows that you have their back. And for once last night, it looked as if the officials were unaware of game, time, and score. We tell players about that all the time, right? Be aware of time and score.
Right.
The
Be aware.
officials should be just as aware of
Situational
time and
awareness.
score in those situations.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.